to the public, we don't have Zoom right now, but we're gonna upload it later. We're having a technical problem, so this will be uploaded later to our just September 24th meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Philip. Philip, you can sit low if you want.
I don't know.
Hold it. Do that real quick. And then you hit it once, and then it mutes.
Good evening. Welcome to our regular meeting of Guadalupe City Council, September 24th, 6 p.m. May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Costa Jr.
Here.
Councilmember Willis.
Present.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Here.
Councilmember Furness.
Here.
Mayor Julian.
Here. We have, will you please stand with me and us for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Again?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item is the moment of thanks, appreciation, and condolences. Is there anyone from my left that would like to sing? To my right?
There was a couple of residents here who passed away. One was a gentleman named Tom Moore. He passed away. His daughter goes to school here. And then also a longtime resident for many years, Roger Sanchez, passed away.
Mm-hmm.
His brother Herb was a council member back in the days.
Right. He's also, Roger Sr. is one of 8 brothers that served in the military. So there was 8 in the family that served. So thank you for that. And then also Ernest de Gasperis, who was a longtime attorney for San Maria Valley, who passed, who lived here in Guadalupe. He passed a couple days ago. So condolences to those and to his family and his friends. All right, next item. Agenda review. Any council member wish to change the order of business that we have before us? Seeing no requests, item 5 is a community participation forum. Any requests to speak or any requests online to speak or nothing? Okay. Item 6, consent calendar. Items are presented as a single one item. Is there any individual council person who wishes to pull an item for further discussion? Anybody in the email or any calls to the council or city administration? So is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as noted?
A motion to approve.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Thank you. Management report, City Administrator, Mr. Bowden.
Thank you, Mayor and Council and public and staff. The chief probably will be talking about some of this, but I'll just in case he doesn't, that we met on the 16th at Mary Buren, and it was determined to put a double line, yellow line, so you can't do U-turns from the city engineer. And I know the chief might have some information on that as to how that's working. I heard that they're still making U-turns.
Only 13 the other day.
Yeah.
Are the double lines there or no? They're not.
Yeah, they're there.
They're there.
Yeah, we got them.
How about spikes?
Is that doable?
They'll run over the cones.
We need a divider now.
Yeah, really.
Mitchell Island.
Actually, should have a one-way street there,
Yeah.
going in and out.
We also met September 5th on impact fees with the chiefs, proposal that came through, and we worked that out. But I also am scheduling a meeting with Wilden to talk about it for other components of the city and departments. So we're gonna meet on Thursday to talk about possible CIP projects that we could maybe come to the council and have Wilden maybe do a study possibly as a possibility. We're also applying for a whale tail grant, and Denise probably has more information on that. And Emily Dreeling is a part of that process as well. We're looking at our tanks, storage tanks, and cleaning, inspecting, and looking to get rid of sediment and also patching up some rust areas and working on that. There's the idea that there might be some significant costs for coating on that. And then Mayor, I'm sure you're gonna talk about Highway 166 and Black Road project, and I
You can
think
talk about it.
that's this Friday at 10 o'clock at 2165 West Main Street in Santa Maria for the ribbon cutting of that project, $2.53 million project.
Yeah, for anybody who's interested, it's gonna be open, it's open to the public, and there'll be parking on the Coolers parking lot, so.
That's correct, yeah. I drive through there every day, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, and apparently it's only gonna last a half an hour hopefully, so we have a speaker here that's preparing herself that half an hour speech.
Other than that, I did have somebody that said they smelled the wet flour at the processing plant, so I'm not sure if you guys have heard anything or not, but I talked to Chris and he's said their hands are a little still tied because of the PCA, so.
Yeah, it's not as bad as it used to be, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not as bad. I mean, I drove by today, just right now, I always roll down my window to get a good whiff. It wasn't like,
You're testing.
no, if it's there, but it wasn't like it when they initially opened, so it's.
okay.
It's good to see all the cars there, though, to see all the workers there.
I like to
Yeah.
move my slow with the kids on the bus.
And I haven't heard much about the new retail store as far as any issues there or not, but I'm sure Chief will be talking about that. And that's the end of my report.
Okay, any questions of Todd?
Todd, I just have a quick question. Oh, can you hear me? The Guadalupe Dunes Preserve sign, it says that it's closed. I know it's a county park, but I was wondering if we can connect with the county to see if that
Yes.
sign just stays closed.
Yeah, I don't know why they have a sign there that's,
Is it,
yeah, I
is it
could
a permanent
connect.
sign or just,
It's supposed to be only put on when it is closed. It's movable.
I know it's closed on Mondays in the morning, but, okay, I haven't seen that, so, okay.
I'll check on that.
I saw some county trucks going out that way this morning.
It's a dump trucks, that's
Yeah,
a dump truck.
yeah.
That way.
And we're heading out. I don't know if they were going that way or not, but they were, yeah.
I know they need to scrape that road in between the pavement and the dunes, because it's
They're moving
Okay.
sand.
E-ride, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're moving sand.
Oh, is that right? Okay, well, all right.
Gave us a call.
Since we're speaking on that, I know that's, test.
Not working? Yeah.
It's supposed to. Check the volume.
Well, is that, right there by the cemetery, is that city or is that county as far as the signage?
In terms of, I would need
Who it belongs
specific,
to.
which area?
Right adjacent of the corner, like, that sign is about 25 feet inset that says if the park's open. I know we have a Memorial Road sign too. I always just wondered.
Memorial Road sign for the city, that's in the city limits,
But
but
he's
Okay.
talking about the sign that.
But, well, there's a few
Preserve,
signs,
yeah.
and I always thought they kind of clashed with the cemetery being right there, that they should have been recessed back somewhat towards, I mean, it's cluttered right there.
I'll take some pictures and then let me figure out what we can do about it.
Sure.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Todd.
You're welcome.
All right, next item, Director of Public Safety, Chief Cash.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, and community that's paying attention. You can see on the police report, talk about patrol staffings. We are well below minimum right now as far as officers in the field. We have administration that are doing, management administration that are doing patrol duties right now. Fiestas Patrias parade, there were some hiccups, but I talked with the director and staff So we're scheduling a meeting that we can do a critique, so we can prepare for next year. We had vendors that wanted to come in after the streets were closed, and especially to Leroy Park that caused a lot of issues, so we'll be working with them. Met with Kiwanis, with our city administrator. Just briefly, we took the paperwork and we're trying to work with them, and then hopefully we'll work with Park and Rec so that we have some written guidelines of how we process the paperwork and we don't get caught again at the last minute kind of doing these things. So we're working with them. We had Cares for Paws while we had the parade. It was very interesting. So we had about 40 residents that came through on the Cares for Paws that was out here by the fire department. Very successful. And then Route 1 dispensary, I did the inspection and I met with them. We went through all the cameras and security, and I made sure my whole staff, fire and police, did walkthroughs so that we understand the process. They had reported that their Grover Beach, 2 of their facilities were robbed, broken into, so we did some other security measures to make sure that our facility is well secured. And we're also, they had volunteered to put a monitor and cameras inside the police department so that we can monitor there. I also have it on my phone, so I have 24-hour access to be able to view their facility. Very nice. Everything went really smooth. I don't think most people even know it was even open, really.
Well, it's a soft open,
Yes.
so it's only open for a certain amount of hours and people walk in.
So it was nice to see a lot of people that were there, at least via the camera.
Yeah, I had my mask on, Chief.
Okay. Okay. Just some of the other items, other significant incidents. It was on the Facebook page where you saw the Sheriff's Department in Santa Maria came into town and mobilized over at Mackenzie Middle School. We only had one officer working. They were looking for a wanted shooting homicide suspect that supposedly was hiding out here in Guadalupe. We only had one officer. I got called to be notified that the Sheriff's Special Weapons Team and Santa Maria officers responded as an armed and dangerous suspect. They went and searched the house. He was not there. So, but we saw that on the Facebook page. A couple nights back last week, I got called from, I was at a meeting, a late meeting, didn't finish up till about 11, and getting back, we had our 2 officers at night. We had an unhoused encampment that was on county property. A citizen by Paco Park called. They reported someone was yelling for help down behind Paco Park. The officers went there, and then we called fire. So I stood by the park because it was extremely dark down there, and they were about 200, 300 yards in, and found about 2 or 3 unhoused individuals that were living there, and one was disabled. He's a Guadalupe resident that we've dealt with on a regular basis. So fire had to conduct a rescue and retrieve. Evidently, they somehow got off of H Street and went through the farm on H Street and hid in the bushes down there, starting small fires, and we had some drugs down there also. So very kind of nerve-wracking situation because you couldn't see the officers. All you can do is hear people yelling down there, and the officers with flashlights. The last couple days, we've been working with Joe, I keep pronouncing the last name incorrectly, Telogan? Telogan for his funeral. So police and fire staff are working with the family regarding the funeral, and it's going to be on October 4th. They're going to have a private viewing at the Red Barn prior to going to the cemetery. They're expecting over 200-something people in attendance, so we're trying to do logistics right now so that we don't stop up too much traffic. We're having a secondary public safety impact fee. In the initial staff meeting, we finalized, I think Todd, remember, we were gonna have a rollout date. It's gonna be about a 30-day rollout
That's right.
date, and we're gonna have a community notification process prior to that, so we know we're gonna have feedback.
Yeah.
Not gonna be pretty, but at least that's what was discussed as far as the best way to kind of handle that.
Yeah, we're gonna draft some language that explains what it is so that people can see that, leave it on there for 30 days.
Well, making sausage isn't pretty.
Yeah, right? Yep.
So, it'll be interesting. About the school traffic safety meeting, you're exactly correct, Mr. Mayor. I think I got the text also. About 13 to 14 cars were making U-turns, and I talked to Councilman Acostas. We were trying to figure out other ways, and so hopefully we'll get back with our engineer and our city administrator to think of other ways that we can kind of address that issue. On the community monthly committee meetings, the coordination committee for the fire dispatch center, we're finalizing, it's going to be the final cost for each city or department, and that's going to be broken down on the calls for service. So we're working with them to see what Guadalupe's costs are possibly going to be. The emergency managers, Santa Barbara County Emergency Managers meeting, we have to finalize the flood map. I don't have much of a choice so I'm meeting with them so Guadalupe can, we have to finalize what's going to be in the flood map for the county of Santa Barbara. As you know, we have Leroy Park that's in the floodplain, and so that will be covered. Worst case scenario, after we approve that map, anything happens, then it'll at least will be covered via insurance and FEMA and so forth.
And, excuse me for interrupting, but 10 years ago, it was FEMA said that should be included, the Pioneer Street should be included in the flood zone. And I don't know if they're even contemplating putting that in the flood zone now.
Right now, it's not, and that's what I have to review, but I gotta try to find time to get with them. They're pressing, they want that. Unfortunately, it's been out there, but we had some other things we had to do. And then two is that house that's out there at the very end, that's in the county property.
Right.
So we're trying to separate, that's not our responsibility.
Right, yeah.
That's the county's responsibility, even though it's right next to our city. So that's something that I'm going over right now. Plus two, there's a new countywide evacuation software. It's Genesis. So I'm being trained right now to do mapping, and also I have to input all emergency and resource phone numbers into this countywide system. So I have another Zoom call Thursday for about 2 or 3 hours to work on this system. So I'm trying to find a backup right now that can assist me if I'm not going to be able to do the flood evacuation maps. And on the California League of Cities, the Advancing Equity Advisory Committee, October 4th, I'm going to have our first meeting. I think I'm going to meet maybe 6 times throughout the year. So I'm going to see how that's going to turn out and how that's going to work statewide. So that's my report. If there's any questions.
I do. Are these meetings Zoom, or you have to be in person?
That's been the tough part. Everyone is kind of getting away from Zoom unless they're in another state. All the locals, they want meetings. Tomorrow is supposed to, I got 4, and I can't attend because we're going to do the public safety impact fees, which is more important, but I have the fire chiefs which is in Solvang. And then I have the police chiefs, which is in Govita. And I'm supposed to meet with probation, which is in Santa Maria. And I do have a Zoom at 8 o'clock with Marion Hospital. So most of those are mornings, but either if I can do it in the car, I'm going in between, I'll try to do that kind of Zoom. But most want in-person meetings, so that makes it very tough for scheduling and driving.
Yeah, especially, it's kind of an oxymoron, we're having patrol staffing levels are below minimum levels. And I know you actually patrol yourself, so.
Yes, sir.
Having to go to a lot of these meetings then takes you away. And I'm sure you don't leave our city uncovered, so.
Our lieutenant
Okay.
works, and I'm his backup. So I stay on the radio if I'm someplace else, and
Okay.
we have our agreement with Santa Maria and the sheriffs,
Okay.
if possible.
Well, as long as we're staffed.
Yes, sir.
Any questions of the chief or report?
Thank you, Chief. Oh, can you hear me? Hello, hello.
No, it's
Not-
not.
They're not working. I just want to make sure that people on Zoom can hear us.
This one?
Hello.
They should be able to hear you, that out.
Yeah, it's picking up from here, actually.
Hold on,
I have a few quick questions, one for Mr. Cinco. When they say soft opening for the dispensary, are there restrictions on operating hours, and what are those operating hours?
Thank you, Councilmember Hernandez. I don't know the answer to that question. I think it has to do with their permit that was issued. I think they're ready to open, so they can have reduced hours, I suppose, initially.
Well, the soft opening is just basically getting the staff trained to be here. So you don't want 5 staff if you have 3 people walking in. So that's what I think in the middle of October, they're gonna open a full,
Yeah,
maybe Chief
I
knows
think
when
so,
they're
yeah.
back to,
Yeah,
actually gonna be open.
they have to initiate their permit under our code by
December.
December 1st, I think. It's in December. And that would require either obtaining issuance of a certificate of occupancy, which I don't know if they've received that or not. Okay, or opening the doors. So they still have a little time to comply with the ordinance.
Before they can fully open?
No, before they have to open or their permit will be subject to revocation.
Okay, got it. It's great to hear about the coordinations for the parade. I'm curious about like those safety bulbs out on Guadalupe Street, the orange bulbs.
The barriers.
Oh,
Oh, the
barriers.
barriers.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wait, just because if
They're
they're.
still out.
They were picked up.
They were picked up today,
This
yeah.
afternoon.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
afternoon?
they're,
Oh, got it.
yeah,
I drove by this morning and I was just
Yeah.
curious. I was like, where
yeah,
is
they're up the
the-
cones and the barricades.
And you mentioned county property, the house all the way out by Guadalupe Park. If they were to call 911, who would service that? It would be routed to the county of Santa Barbara?
We would.
Or are you?
Mutual aid, right?
It, the way it works, the same thing, because you made the statement about the park, the beach. Both those calls go to the sheriff's department, but then they route them to us because people will be stuck in the beach after night, and the rangers lock the gate and leave, but we have a key, so we get called, we drive down there, unlock the key for that, and we know the people at the house, and one is an handicap, can't move.
Wasn't it sold?
The house?
Yeah.
Not that I know of yet.
if you've seen them lately, but.
No, I have not seen
I
them.
understand that the property is sold,
Oh,
but I don't know.
that'll be great.
Maybe the man on my left knows more.
I believe it might have been sold.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
Anyway, he's answering your question, sorry.
But yes, it goes to sheriff's department, but then they route it to us because we're usually the closest.
Got it. So it's a shared responsibility. If there was an emergency, it would end up falling back on.
Yeah, if it's emergency, it's all, who's ever the closest goes. But then too, after it's all quiet, who's ever jurisdiction, it's their responsibility.
Who's ever closest.
Thank you.
Is that it, chief?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Regular business, wastewater treatment plant, biolic system repair. Jeff?
None of them are working.
Check the volume.
I don't think they're working.
Just tap it.
It's on, just the volume on the back.
Don't hit that thing, yeah.
I actually think it might be with the system,
It might be up there at the,
because
somebody might have messed with it.
Well, I'll speak loud. I can speak loud. So the next two agenda items actually relate to the same. They're interrelated, so I will talk about both of these. Well, we'll do one at a time. So the first item that you have before you is for the BioLax system. Now the wastewater treatment plant is, the primary treatment is actually a proprietary system called BioLac. The company that installed that is Home Service Group, and they will be doing some repair work for our BioLac system. The system has not been maintained on a regular interval, which it should be.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just put that down.
yeah,
Okay,
you're
go
fine.
ahead.
I can hear you fine.
We gotta do
So
something.
the existing system has not been maintained like it should be. So it's worn out quicker than it should have. So there's two things that have to happen. One is the ponds that this BioLac system sits in have to be dredged, which will be the next item that we address. That dredging should happen on a more frequent basis. And what happened is that the grit built up around this BioLac system and has worn out the bottom of the system. So it has to be repaired. The Home Service Group has, I requested a proposal for them to do the work. They are the only company that we know of in California that actually services these units. So our municipal code allows us to, and plus that it is sewer work, it's at the sewer treatment plant, so this doesn't have to go through the same procedures as a regular bid process. So our request is that you approve this contract so we can get the BioLac system repaired, and hopefully we'll be able to maintain the sludge beds on a more frequent basis so that we don't have to repair the system quite so frequently. Right now we're having to work around the BioLac system, and that's kind of put us in a bind with the water board. We're not meeting all of our permit requirements because of that system.
When is this gonna start? If this is approved?
So both of the companies for both these contracts have to coordinate their services together. I would assume within the next 2 to 3 months that it'll be done.
Okay. Any questions of Jeff?
I have questions.
Okay, please.
You mentioned that Combs was the only source in California that could do the work. What about outside of California? Would that be cost prohibitive, or where is Combs located?
They're located in Irvine.
Okay, I'm just worried, and this might not be a question for you, but generally, that, by going with them as a sole source, that could leave us in a bind, you know what I mean? Like if it's a monopoly on the BioLac system, is there a reason, are we just stuck with that system? I know that sounds naive, but I'm just worried about the sole source at that amount.
Sure, yeah. The BioLac system is, like I said, it is a proprietary system that the city chose to use. It's not unusual. There's lots of plants, smaller plants like ours throughout California that use the exact same system. It's cost efficient for the cities to be able to use the system. If we go to a different type of system, it's very cost prohibitive for a city of our size.
So
It would be very, very expensive.
All of the cities in California that are using the BioLac system going through Combs to service it?
That's correct.
Wow, they have a great business, it sounds like.
The thing is that if the system is maintained well, they don't have to
Okay,
do work on it very
but
often.
we didn't do that. Okay, understood.
Do we know where the lapse in maintenance was at, or what happened there?
I do not. the biolax sits within a sludge bed, and the sludge has built up.
It's hard as rock.
And to prevent
It's
this,
not hard as rock, but it's thick.
Oh,
And so it's clogged up the system, it's kind of, it rotates, so it's worn out the bottom of the system.
so the next piece is that we're gonna, I read something about scraping it off, is that right? Was I, maybe
Yeah,
not?
the next one we see will be dredging.
Okay, so once they do that, then to prevent us going into this situation in the future, do we have to have Combs come out and maintain it more often? Okay, so well, how do we prevent this in the future?
It'll be dredged.
Okay, and another company can do that.
Yeah. and
Okay.
yes, and I'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, I just wanna make sure, I wanna get past the sole source thing as long as they haven't got us in a bind where we're just stuck with them forever. Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
Just a question of council, have you been out there?
I've never been out there, no.
You haven't?
I have.
Yeah. Might be a good idea to, just to go out there.
You could take a pontoon ride.
I ain't going in that water, dude.
Okay, any questions of Jeff on this?
So
one?
that was,
How old is the system?
The biolax system? I don't know.
Do you know, Dave?
Hey, Dave said it right here.
Okay,
That's because it calls them.
So it's
2000,
about 12 years
12 years
old.
old, huh? Okay.
Okay.
so.
Do you have any comments, Dave?
Well, the reason that there's a lot of.
Come up here.
The reason that we've got a dredge is because there's a lot of grit at the bottom,
Right.
which is like sand and eggshells, stuff
Right.
like that in the sink. And there's a grit removal system that we're working on putting back online. It's not online yet, but it was taken offline in the early 2000s. And
Yeah.
when they did the upgrade and put the biolax system in, they upgraded the influence system with a bar rake instead of what they had, which was called communers, just shredded everything. This actually takes rags and stuff out. And those rags that would be shredded would clog up the grit pump. And so they had to tear it all apart every time they rag up, so they just stopped using it. And they never started using it again. So we're getting that thing fixed, and so this should take care of the problem for the future.
Okay, good.
So,
Thank you.
Well, that's great information. Because
Okay.
that means we won't even have to dredge.
yeah.
We won't have to dredge it like that, so it should help quite a bit.
Any further questions of Jeff? Or-
How frequent should they be dredged?
Well, if the grid system is on board, there won't be any.
So how frequent should the grit system be cleaned, I guess?
Or the
grid
maintenance.
system
Well, the grid system constantly runs every day or so, and so it's taking grit out all the time that's now just being deposited in there.
Okay.
So it won't be deposited in there. And it's taken 10 years to get here. So that's why they said, oh, we don't need that
Okay,
for 10 years. So,
all right. Any further questions? Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2024-58?
All motion to adopt resolution 2024-58.
Is there a second?
1 second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Costa Jr.,
Aye.
Councilmember Robles,
Aye.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilmember Furness,
Aye.
Mayor Julian.
Aye, resolution passes. Thank you, too. Next item is the wastewater treatment plant sludge removal for biolic system. Back on, Jim.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm glad Dave is here because he can insert anything that I miss here. So the recommendation before you tonight is to approve or adopt resolution 2459, which will be a contract services with Mid-Cal dredging for the sludge removal. So this is to remove the grit that was not captured by the grit removal system that is built up in the biolax system. This work has to be done concurrently, so my understanding is that Combs would come out, remove the biolax system, it would be dredged, and then Combs would come back and reinstall the biolax system. And so I went out to bid for the bridging, or for the sludge removal project on August 2nd. We actually received no bids. When the 2 o'clock came around, there were no
We
bids.
seem to have this problem.
Yeah.
So, we did receive 1 bid after the deadline, but we couldn't accept it as the bid. So the municipal code allows us, since there was no official bids, allows me to procure it directly. And so I negotiated with one firm that did submit a proposal, and they knocked a few $1,000s off their price. So from what their bid was, if they had got in on time. So we are recommending that we sign a contract with Mid-Cal Dredging for $182,900 and authorize the city administrator to approve any contract change orders up to 15% over the contract if necessary.
Any
I have
questions?
questions.
You're gonna go over to the plant and look at it.
Well, I do need to,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, so Mid-Cal Dredging, where are they out of?
They're out of Fresno.
Fresno, okay. And then, this actually might not be a question for you, it might be for Janice.
Do we have it? No.
Well, and
Yeah.
somewhere, and I've read a lot of stuff in the last couple of days on this, but, it says that it's coming out of the wastewater treatment plant fund, is that correct?
So we have in our capital improvements project, we did set aside 1.8 million
Yep.
for these types of improvements on the wastewater treatment plant. And then,
1.8?
Do we still have grants that were coming, or is that for something, a different part?
So originally, the city had set aside $1.8 million for the Highway 1 lift station.
Okay,
The city received
Grants.
A grant,
$1 million
okay.
in grants for that, and so we reallocated in one of your mid-year budgets, we reallocated that 1.8 that would have gone to the lift station to any improvements we had at wastewater treatment plant, because we knew that we were gonna have to do these improvements to the biolac system.
so obviously these are improvements we have to have, I just wanna make sure that if we have more improvements, we have the money to do those improvements, cause it sounds like with the grit,
Yeah, we should have
System.
we should have a balance of,
Yeah,
Whatever
we set aside 1.8 million, these two
half a
are
million.
about 400,000, so we'll still have over $1 million, about $1.4 million
Okay.
to do further improvements. There are some things that are gonna have to be, other things that are gonna have to be done in the plant.
Okay.
We're working through those.
and with the dredging, and the biolac situation, is that gonna take anything offline that's gonna affect the citizens, or can that be done with? Okay, so it's just gonna be quietly done.
Citizens won't know anything will happen.
Great, wonderful. Okay, thank you, that's all I have.
They won't
You don't
smell
want
anything.
anything.
You can still flush your toilet.
Great. That's really all I was worried about.
Any further questions of Jeff? Is there a motion to adopt resolution 2024-59?
I motion to adopt resolution 2024-59.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Preston Jr.,
Aye.
Councilmember Robles,
Aye.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Aye.
Councilmember Fernez,
Aye.
Mayor Julia.
Aye. Resolution passes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for all answering all my
Thank you,
questions.
Jeff.
Any other questions?
And Dave.
And Dave.
And
Thank
Dave.
you, thank you. By the way, I saw last night, the Chicago River issue with pollution and their system, their wastewater treatment system, it's just massive.
It's massive,
yeah. We have 8,700 people or so, but you look at Chicago and these big cities that just millions and millions of dollars in equipment. So it's always been an issue, our sewer treatment plant, and I think everybody, I know that we were talking before about regionalization of the sewer system, so it'd be nice to have something to where we don't have to deal with it too much, but keeping that maintenance on these plants very extensive. So thank you too for being here. All right, next item, item 11, requested by Janet McGee, Executive Assistant to Superintendent President of the Board of Trustees, Allen Hancock College, to waive rental fees for the use of the senior center. Anise.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council, staff, and the community that's watching. Janet McGee, the Executive Assistant of the Superintendent, President, and the Board of Trustees from Allen Hancock College came to our office, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, did a tour of our different facilities that are available for rent for their board meeting, and she picked the senior center. They proceeded to send me a letter requesting the fees be waived. That letter was provided to you, but it does include their mission statement and just mentioning that they serve our community, and so they would like to ask for the fees to be waived. Based on the fee waiver that you've passed back in, I believe it was May, you can waive the hourly fees of their rental, and that would be $220.
Questions of by council first.
I have a question. But when we talked about waiving the fees previously, and so you would waive the entire rental fee, but is there staff involved that they'll still have to pay for, essentially?
Per the policy, you're only waiving the hourly fees.
Okay.
They are still paying the $50 lock-in fee that everyone pays, regardless of nonprofit or not. There's a lock-in fee, it's cheaper for nonprofits. That locks in their date and their reservation, so no one else can take that date. Their hours for this meeting start at 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So the beginning of it is within business hours, so they were charged the within business hour fee for those hours, and then outside of business hours it flips over to that fee, which is just $10 higher. And being the fact that they end at 8 o'clock, they need a building attendant to lock up the facility, and so that does not get waived.
So what's the total they'll be paying?
So $570 is the total of the rental, and if you approve it, you'd be waiving $220 of that rental, and they'd be receiving that back.
For 6 hours?
For 6 hours, yes ma'am.
And any other comments or?
I do.
One of the things, I don't have any problem with them renting it. It would seem to me that a fee waiver like this shouldn't need to come to us. And we've talked about this before. Perhaps there should be a cutoff in terms of what it's going to, when say administrative fee waiver as opposed to coming to the council. It seems that how many individuals were involved in this whole process?
So we had talked about this, and actually it might make more sense. We're actually hemorrhaging because there's at least Esther take in, Anise, if we decide that they want to, they request a fee waiver, she has to draft up the staff report. That's her time.
Yeah.
I see it, Juana sees it, and then Philip has to review it, and then there's an expenditure there for that. So we feel like if we were to say something 600 or less, waive the fee internally. But we'd have to come back and change the policy or whatever was written before, because the policy is written where we have to come to, for nonprofits, comes to the city council for waiving. It just makes sense just to waive it internally, otherwise because every time you guys waive them anyway, so.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have a strong relationship with Allen Hancock College, especially just because we do have a trustee from Guadalupe that is elected official, that is part of the trustees, so there should be.
She's not, is she a trustee or she's actually, we always have a strong relationship with Hancock College. They were here before using it when the.
Yeah, they were usually in the council chambers.
They were using the council chambers, which was no charge, I don't think.
Well, it was a situation where we could, at that time, waive it internally, and then we changed the rules.
We've always supported Hancock College, they have to. Everybody that goes to junior college, goes to junior college.
But the broader question is all nonprofits typically come to the council and they ask to waive the fees, and the council does that. So we're saying, since you do that, then it'll save a lot of staff time and,
I think it should be up
cost.
to you.
Yeah,
I think you should be able to make, you, Tosh.
Right.
I think you should be able to say yes, cause I'm gonna say yes every time, especially for an
Especially if
alcohol.
it's in higher education.
Yeah,
it's a
and
junior
we want them here,
college.
we want them here, and Cecil is, she was last meeting with the Guadalupe before,
yeah.
and she knows the senior center, so I had no problem waiving the fees, it's just a matter that it needs to be at a level to where we don't have to spend staff time.
If it's, we talked as if it's 600 or more, we should, then they could request waiving of fees, but we're saying anything under $600.
Discretion. Was there not discretion in policy, discretion by you?
No, not that I'm aware of, no, I
I
don't
think we
believe
should
so.
add it.
Wait, that's why it
Yeah,
came
that's why it
back.
comes
And
up.
Todd, is this just a one-time meeting or is this a reoccurring month?
Well, they meet, in their case, it's annually, so they choose different locations.
No, it's once a year in Guadalupe.
Yeah, once a year in Guadalupe, and then I think they pick different
They
locations.
didn't have it for several years, so,
No, they didn't, maybe, I think it was because of COVID.
yeah, okay.
Doesn't that seem expensive though, to, I mean, to use a facility for 6 hours? I don't know, you might know better, everyone not at that table, but,
It's to show transparency and show that Guadalupe has a seat at the table from Hancock.
I don't even know if we're in on those meetings, though.
We have a
Yeah.
representative
Representative,
Guadalupe
yeah.
that is,
Is it open to the public? That's what you're saying?
I don't
It
think
should
it
be,
is.
yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Well, okay.
but I just mean, are we on par with other, like if they're picking a location
In Santa Maria.
in Santa Maria, are they being charged? If we did not waive the fee, it would be $570?
It would cost more money elsewhere. We have
You think so?
some of
Okay,
the
I-
least expensive rental
Great.
fees
Okay.
in the Central
Okay, I-
Coast by far.
I would.
Great, I think it's fine to waive the fee, but I had more questions, that was one of them that you answered,
So
so.
we need to bring that back in terms of the waiver bottom line in terms of.
I think we should
yeah, the
definitely
threshold, yeah.
have, I would say under.
Yeah, it doesn't need to include everybody and their uncle on this.
Well, especially when, yeah, like you guys have to do so much work, so I think we should bring it back to maybe a bigger discussion of what the
Sure.
threshold for Scott, for you guys doing it internally.
Sounds good?
Okay, is there a motion? That's the resolution.
Motion.
To waive the fees, let's see,
For the October 15th?
Mr.
to waive
Cinco,
rental fees for the use of senior centers.
I have a question for Mr. Cinco.
I'm sorry.
Can I vote since I'm on the foundation board?
This isn't for the foundation, is
Yeah.
it?
Just
This
making
is the-
sure.
Yeah,
making
it's a
sure.
different organization.
Just making
It's a
sure.
different, you can vote.
Since you can vote, do you want to make a motion?
I don't know.
I'll make
Put it
that
in writing.
motion, I motion to approve the waiving of rental fees.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? None. Too quick. Future agenda items. Dave, it's nice seeing you here.
Thank you.
And Jeff. Future agenda items, anybody have any additions to add? We have enough? All right, item 13, announcements, council activity reports. I have a couple.
Oh,
Go ahead,
Yes,
Gene, go ahead.
attended the officer appreciation dinner, with Todd, with our treasurer, our city clerk, our chief of police. Our officer of the year wasn't able to make it because they were sick. But once again, it was a beautiful dinner. You guys should come out and enjoy that dinner. You got potatoes, beans, salad, nice barbecue.
How was the
What's those little those breadstick things? Those
Bread.
Bread?
You know, all you can drink water, you know. But no, it was good. There's about like 9 or 10 recipients
I think there's 10.
this year. Yeah, we were all, everybody was good. We thought we missed somebody, but there was a last minute add-on in there for someone who was appreciated for the work and public service as an officer, so, but it was good.
Thanks for attending, all of you. Anybody else? I have a couple of things. This past weekend, we had the Vietnam Memorial rededication for the 3 individuals that were killed in 1969, Michael Peter Pagling, Arturo Carrasco, and Philip Hernandez. We actually went to school with Philip. Yeah. So, and we're working with the AARP, which is Age-Friendly Community Survey, and we've connected with the state AARP, and we're actually going to have a survey, actually roll out a survey starting October 1 to October 31st, which is identifying that, we call it identifying the needs of Guadalupe seniors, and it's going to be in English and Spanish. A survey period, again, is October 1 to 31st, and it's, for those of you that feel young, it's for 45 and older, target population, and the goal is to have 300 surveys. Normally AARP uses online surveys, but in our community it's too difficult to get our seniors onto that, so we're going to physically have surveys going out. SBCAG, 9 last Thursday, quite a bit of money that's going in. State Route 166 between here, between the San Maria River Bridge and all the way to Obispo Street, that's 12.9 million, so there are going to be ADA improvements. I know that Jeff has been trying to coax all the loan owners to abide by the Caltrans requirements. State Route 166 to Santa Maria, the pavement and curve ramps, it's going to be in summer of 2026, that's 1.54 million. And again, we talked about this before, that Santa Maria River Bridge will be replacement, should be 2025. That's 33 million. So there's a couple of dollars coming into this area. So, and again, like it was mentioned, Black Road signalization dedication this Friday at the cooler on Black Road and Main Street. That's all I have. Any additions or any discussions, or is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All ayes. Thank you.
Hold on, the video's still on hold.
Yeah, don't.
Amelia.